side. Didn't say, what are you looking so sad about, Jam?
I'm surprised at you. I mean, I'm really insulted. I mean, that's not right what you just said.
What do you mean, what I just said?
I mean, I'm get a drink of water. I'm late getting home, but you talk. I said something about the greatest heavyweight champ, man. I'm a hometown man, and you talk about Joe Louis, man. Joe Louis wouldn't be nothing for me. Joe, I tell you, Joe, do you think you would have stood a chance with me?
Well, Clay, one time I done my career, I went on a Bomber Month tour.
Bomber the month. I would have been a bomb compared to you.
Well, you've been on the tour. Come on.
What's happening, my people? It's Cash Sports again, back for another afternoon with the family. Now, as usual, before we get started, let me give a shout out to the JBT community. It's just boxing talk. We're a group of people who just love to talk boxing, and we're always looking for others to join us. And you don't have to be a content creator. The only requirement is you just have to love to talk boxing. That's all. Miss Cass, Tim Layton, Mike Mazik, Al Booger. Salute to everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cash Sports, The Box Story. Today, the life and career of Iron Mike Tyson. Iron Mike Tyson. And you know what time it is. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's The Box Story, bringing you all that boxing history. Boxing is the greatest sport of them all. That's why we love it. Can't get enough of it. How's everyone today? This is the Friday afternoon edition of Cash Sports, The Box Story. The profile this week is Iron Mike Tyson, and we're going to start about 2:15. because Mike is a long one like Floyd was. Remember, we had to break Floyd up into two parts. So we're going to start Mike a little early, try to get it all in today. And if we have time, we're going to have the highlights of boxing history at the end of the show today. Okay. What we got this week? Got some live boxing this weekend as usual. I think we got the Towering Inferno in there this weekend from Vegas. Yeah. Let's take a look at that real quick. We're going to start about a quarter after. At the Towering Inferno. Yeah, he's going up against Sebastian Fundora versus Cordell Booker for Fundora's WBC and WBO junior middleweight titles. They got junior lightweight. It's bad enough 6'7" at junior middleweight, but can you imagine that 6'7" at junior lightweight 130? That would be unhealthy. You be that tall weighing 130? Yeah, that was a type where they met junior middleweight 154. But still, that's bad enough, 6'7", 154. But Fundora versus Cordell Booker. The co-man is Elijah Garcia versus Terrell Gausha. Terrell is getting kind of long in the tooth. I don't know how much he's got left, but going up against Elijah Garcia, that'll be a good test for Elijah. And then we got another card from Australia is headlined by George Kambosos. George Kambosos Jr. side going up against Jake Wiley. And the co-main in that is the exciting young female fighter, Sky Nicholson, putting her WBC strap on the line with Tierra Brown. So yeah, I thought Sky Nicholson should be the main event over George Kambosos Jr., right? Like I was saying yesterday, Sky might be able to beat George. But yeah, that's what we got tomorrow. Those are the big two fights. The big names from Shanika Johnson also on that card. Shanika is defending her WBA bantamweight title. I think that might be her first defense. I know she won it last year. I don't know if she made any other defenses yet, but yeah, Shanika, another good female fighter. That could be a good card, man. A couple of good female fights on there. I ain't even learned about George Kambosos. Sky Nicholson versus Tierra Brown and Shanika Johnson versus Nina Hughes. That could be a good one. 2 championship fights too. So yeah, coming your way tomorrow, Saturday. I think Pandora. I think they both the zone, I believe. Let me see. They didn't put the network on there. No, Pandora is Amazon Prime. Okay. That's Amazon Prime. Okay. The PBC. I'm pretty sure Kambosos is the zone. Okay. Those are the two big names tomorrow. If you can call Kambosos a big name. Wasn't for Teofimo, we would have never heard of him. But we got a good one next weekend. Another good female fight, Michaela Mayer and Sandy Ryan. I think they went at it before. The Mayer's WBO welterweight title. I think Mayer might have been the one that took that title from Ryan, but I know they fought before. But also on that card, next weekend, we got Troy Isley. Another top-ranked card full of their youngsters. Troy Isley on there, Emiliano Vargas, not against each other, but all on the card. Troy Isley, Emiliano Vargas, Tiger Johnson. Top rank, you always gonna see a lot of good young fighters on a top ranked card. So yeah, that's next weekend. Yeah. So yeah, we're in pretty good shape. There's Anti-Trump AF. What's up, Anti-Trump AF? How are you today? I think I know what that AF stands for. But salute. Good to see you. Yeah, we're going to be talking about Mike Tyson in a few minutes. We usually start at 2:30, but Mike is kind of long. I'm trying to prevent having to do 2 parts like we did Floyd. But I just, give people a few minutes to get here because a lot of people know I started at 2:30. You know what I mean? So yeah. Alberger says this is Mayer. Right. Yeah, 3. I thought they had fought before, Alberger. Didn't, and Mayer's had the title now, right? I think, wasn't Mayer the one that took it from Ryan in the first place? I think. Yeah, I knew they had fought before, so they have a history. So that should be good. But salute and welcome to anti-Trump AF. Okay, yeah, he's doing a terrible job. A lot of those people that lost their jobs and stuff voted for him. I'm not going to get into politics, but with that thing they saying on their hashtag FAFO, a lot of people is in that phase now. FAFO, you know, yeah. Hey, got your vote, and then the hell with you now. But hey, we'll see what happens. You can't take my job because I'm retired, unemployed. But I mess with my unemployment, please. I ain't gonna say nothing about an assassination. It might come for me. But let's get ready to start with Mike Tyson. I'm gonna leave Trump alone before I say something, say the wrong thing. Okay. I'm into politics now. But salute anti-Trump AF. Good to see you today. Yeah, that's right, anti-Trump. That's true. That's what I was just talking about. You are so right. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. But how's everybody today? It's Friday. We headed for the weekend. Yeah. Well, let's get ready to start on Iron Mike Tyson. Time permitting, we're going to do the highlights of boxing history that we normally would be doing now at the end of the show. And it's going to be the top knock of the artists, the guys, 10 guys with the most, no, it's not that, most knockouts, it's the most devastating one-punch knockouts. So we'll see if we can get to that at the end today. Yep, Medicaid too, all of that, anti-Trump, yeah. You are so right. Yeah, we are, and the thing about it is everything that's going on and the people that voted for him, I didn't vote for him. We're told this is what would happen. Exactly what's happening, man. That's what's so crazy about it. Donald Trump told everybody himself what he was going to do, and he's doing it. So nobody can say he, a lot of people saying he fooled them and all. No, he didn't. He told you what he was going to do. You know, so hey. But the bad part is the ones that didn't vote for him got to suffer too. That's the bad part. Yeah. And anti-Trump says, on this day in 1988, Mike Tyson defeated Tony Tubbs by second round TKO to retain the WBA, WBC, and IBF heavyweight title. That's right, anti-Trump. Yeah, we're going to cover all of that. Yeah, we got Tony Tubbs in here. Yeah. But I can see anti-Trump is a Mike Tyson fan. So, wow, I better be on my P's and Q's doing this one. Tim Layton, I hope you enjoyed the show, Tim. Tim said he was looking forward to it. Yeah. Yeah, this is 3, right, Al Booger? 02? Yeah. Said he was splashed with paint before the first fight, yeah. But I knew they had a history. So that's next weekend. That should be good. That should be real good. Yeah. Okay, let's get ready. Mike Tyson. The life and career of Iron Mike Tyson today. Okay. Then this weather's crazy. It was so nice yesterday, like springtime. Now today it's back to wintertime. I went to do my walk. I had to turn around and come back and put more stuff on. I was dressed for yesterday. I came back and got my coat, my big one. Yeah, this weather is crazy. I'm trying to get to the right place with my slide presentation before we get started. So I just learned how to take them from the internet. And, I used to take pictures with my phone, but it took me 2 years to learn, but I got it. Better late than never, right? Okay, it's 2:15. Let's start. It's like it's bad luck to start before 2:30. I said 2:15. Today was bad luck to start before 2:15. But let's go with today's show. Appreciate everybody rocking with me so far. Hopefully we get some more people in here. But if not, they just miss out. Ain't my fault. Okay. I gotta listen out to Miss Cash waiting on a package. She ain't here. They put your stuff outside. Remember the old days, they used to leave a pink slip, then you could pick it up at the post office. But now they'll knock one time. If you don't answer, they just leave your stuff outside the front door. Pulled up one time, they had my big 55-inch TV in the box, leaning up against the door outside. I'm glad Big Steve and them didn't walk past. That thing would have been gone. They come out at night, though. You know, some people, you only see them in the nighttime. Big Steve is one of them. You don't see him in the daytime. Them people looking for him. Let's go. The life and career on Mike Tyson. Too much information, Cass. Okay, Michael Gerard Tyson, right? He was born June 30th, 1966. He's a former American professional boxer. He competed between 1985 and 2024, right? 29 years. But the back end of that was a few exhibitions and stuff, right? He wasn't an active boxer all those years. He was nicknamed Iron Mike and Kid Dynamite in his early career. Later, he was known as the baddest man on the planet. Remember that? Baddest man on the planet. Until he ran into Buster Douglas. We're going to talk about it. But Tyson is regarded as one of the greatest heavyweight boxers of all time. He reigned as the undisputed heavyweight champion from 1987 to 1990. Again, until he ran into Big Bad Buster. Okay. Now, Mike, he fought at heavyweight his entire career, right? Currently age 58, resides in New York City. And Mike was 5 foot 10 inches tall, fought with a reach of 71 inches. Okay, had a total of 59 fights during his career. He won 50. He lost 7. He had 2 no contests. You know what? One of them was the bike fight. Won 44 of his fights by way of knockout. That's an 88% knockout rate. Not bad at all. 88%. Mike Grimm, what's up, Mike Grimm? How are you today? Talking about Iron Mike Tyson today, or later known as the baddest man on the planet. Okay, I guess that made Buster Douglas the baddest man on the planet until he ran the Holyfield. But yeah, Mike had an 88% knockout ratio. That's not bad at all. Okay, so let's continue. Now, I'm just making a brief summary of his career. We're going to go into all these fights and everything a little bit deeper later in the show. Now, Tyson won his first 19 professional fights by knockout, okay? 12 of them was in the first round. Now, he claimed his first belt at 20 years old. And he still holds the record as the youngest boxer ever to win a heavyweight title. 20 years old, that record holds to this day. He was also the first heavyweight boxer to simultaneously hold the WBA, WBC, and IBF titles, right? And that was undisputed then. It was 3 belt. Mike was the first heavyweight to be 3 belt undisputed. Also, he's the only heavyweight to unify them in succession, back to back to back, right? And then the following year, he became the lineal champion when he knocked out Michael Spinks in 91 seconds of the first round. 91 seconds, okay? In 1990, Tyson lost the undisputed heavyweight championship when he was knocked out by underdog Buster Douglas, 40-1 underdog, right? That made that fight one of the biggest upsets in not just in boxing history, in sports history, okay? Then in 1992, Mike was convicted of rape and sentenced. Now I'm gonna cover all this stuff more in depth later, but yeah, just summarizing it right now. In 1992, Mike was convicted of rape and he was sentenced to 6 years in prison, right? And he was released on parole after he served 3 years. Now after his release in 1995, he engaged in a comeback, right? And he won the WBA and WBA titles in 1996. He got 2 of his titles back to join Floyd Patterson Muhammad Ali, Tim Witherspoon, Evander Holyfield, and Big George Foreman as the only men in boxing history to have regained a heavyweight championship after losing it. Only 6 have done it, right? In that order. Floyd Patterson, Muhammad Ali, Tim Witherspoon, Evander Holyfield, George Foreman, and Mike Tyson. Only men to ever lose a heavyweight title and win it back. Now, after being stripped of the WBC title in the same year that he regained it, Tyson lost the WBA title to Evander Holyfield by his 11th round TKO, right? And then their 1997 rematch ended. You know what happened then. When Mike was disqualified for biting Holyfield's ears, right? Bit him twice. Bit part of it off. You know, he bit him the first time, and Mills Lane was the referee. He allowed it to continue. And then Mike bit him again. And then he had to disqualify him then. Now, in 2002, Tyson fought for the world heavyweight title, losing by knockout to Lennox Lewis. And then in November 2004, his fight against Jake Paul, which he lost by unanimous decision, became the biggest boxing gate in United States history outside of Las Vegas. Yep. The fight we just had last year with Jake Paul. Was that last year or this year? It happened, yeah, I guess it was last year. This time going so fast, that seemed like last month, but I guess it was last year, right? Him and Jake Paul, November. Yeah, November. Okay, now, Tyson was known for his ferocious and intimidating boxing style, as well as his controversial behavior inside and outside the ring, which he explained was inspired by Sonny Liston, right? You know, Sonny Liston is widely regarded as the most intimidating man in boxing history. And Mike said he was inspired by Sonny to exhibit some of the behavior he did. But I don't remember Sonny ever being accused of rape or biting anybody's ear or anything like that. You know? Now, like I said, Mike has a knockout to win ratio of 88%. He was ranked 16th on the Ring Magazine's list of 100 greatest punchers of all time, number 16. And first on ESPN's list of the hardest hitters in heavyweight boxing history, right? And Sky Sports described Mike as perhaps the most ferocious fighter to step into a professional boxing ring. And Mike has been inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame on his first ballot, and also the World Boxing Hall of Fame. Now, outside of his media, he appeared in the well-received movies Rocky Balboa in 2006 and The Hangover 2009. We're going to talk about those later on too. Okay, let's take a look at Mike's early life. Take a look at his early life now. Okay. Excuse me for 1 minute. We're gonna look at his early life in 1 second. How's everybody? Everybody ready for the weekend? If you're not ready, you better get ready because it's here. Well, y'all know, I told y'all I'm on permanent weekend status. Every day is the weekend. I'm glad for y'all to be able to join me. Welcome to the weekend. I've been here. Okay, here we go. Mike's early life. BN Boxing News in the building. Salute BN Boxing News. Where you say you was at? Cancun or somewhere, BN Boxing News the other day? He deserves those vacations though, because BN Boxing News is a hard-working man. Yeah. Cool guy too, man. I met BN Boxing News in person a few weeks ago, man. I could hang with BN. Cool customer there, man. Yeah. Yeah, met him at the meet and greet. Just like I thought he would be, though, you know, yeah. But salute BN Boxing News. Okay, let's talk. We get ready to talk about Mike's early life now. Okay. Now, Michael Gerard Tyson, he was born in Fort Greene in Brooklyn, New York City on June 30th, 1966. Now, he has an older brother named Rodney, right? And he had an older sister. Her name was Denise. She died of a heart attack at age 24 in 1990. Now, Tyson's mother was born in Charlottesville, Virginia. She was described as a promiscuous woman who might have been a prostitute, right? That was his mom. Now, Tyson's biological father is listed as Purcell Tyson, a humble cab driver, and he was from Jamaica, right? But the man Tyson had known as his father was a pimp named Jimmy Kirkpatrick. And Kirkpatrick was from Greertown, North Carolina, right? A predominant black neighborhood that was annexed by the city of Charlotte. And his father was one of the town's neighborhood's top baseball players, right? And he married and had a son, Tyson's half brother, Jimmy Lee Kirkpatrick, right? Who would help to integrate Charlotte High School football in 1965. And in 1959, Jimmy Kirkpatrick left his family and moved to Brooklyn, where he met Tyson's mother, Lorna Mae Smith, right? And Kirkpatrick frequented pool halls, gambled, and hung out on the streets, right? And Tyson said, my father was just a street guy caught up in the street world, okay? And he abandoned the Tyson family around the time Mike was born, leaving Tyson's mother to care for the children on her own by herself. And then Kirkpatrick died in 1992, right? That wasn't his biological father, but that was, he was with Mike's mother when Mike was born, around the time Mike was born, okay? Died in 1992. Jimmy Kirkpatrick. He'll be in Boston soon, so he's not ready because it ends my vacation. Oh, he's on a cruise. Saturday to Saturday, okay. You got one more day. All right. Now, Tyson's family lived in Bedford-Stuyvesant until their financial burdens necessitated a move to Brownsville, and Mike was 10 years old at that time. Now, throughout his childhood, Mike lived in and around neighborhoods with a high rate of crime. Now, according to an interview in details, his first fight was with a bigger youth who had pulled the head off of one of Tyson's pigeons. Now, Tyson was repeatedly caught committing petty crimes and fighting those who ridiculed his high-pitched voice and lisp as a youngster, right? And by the age of 13, Mike had been arrested 38 times. By the age of 13, he had been arrested 38 times. Wow. Now, he ended up at the Tryon School for Boys in Johnstown, New York, right? And his emerging boxing ability, that's where it was discovered at. It was discovered there by Bobby Stewart. You know, he was a juvenile detention center counselor and former boxer himself, right? And this guy Stewart considered Mike to be an outstanding fighter, and he trained him for a few months, and then he introduced him to boxing manager and trainer Cus D'Amato, right? That's how he met Cus. Going to that reform school was really a blessing in disguise, right? Because he met this guy that worked there as a counselor named Bobby Stewart, and he introduced him to Cus D'Amato. So that kind of, you know, God works in mysterious ways. That's what they say. So that was really a blessing in disguise. Now, Tyson dropped out of high school as a junior. He was later awarded an honorary doctorate in humane letters from Central State University in 1999. And Kevin Rooney also trained Tyson. He was occasionally assisted by Teddy Atlas, although Atlas was dismissed by D'Amato when Tyson was 15. Yeah, they had a little event. Tyson was supposedly touched Teddy's niece on the butt, and, you know, Teddy put a gun to his head and all that, right? But yeah, Rooney and Teddy Atlas both were, like, I guess you call them disciples of Cus D'Amato. They came up under Cus, right? And Cus had both of them working with Mike, but Teddy got dismissed. But in his early career, through the Michael Spinks fight. Kevin Rooney trained Mike in the ring because Cuss was getting up in age and everything, and he had assigned Kevin to be the actual trainer doing fights and everything. And Kevin trained him through the Michael Spinks fight. That's when Don King swooped in, and that's when everything started going downhill for Mike. Okay, we're gonna get to all that. Yeah, because like I say, Rooney eventually took over all training duties for Mike Tyson, right? So I'm just speaking on. Now, Tyson's mother died when he was 16 years old, leaving him in the care of Cus D'Amato, who would become his legal guardian. And Tyson later said, "I never saw my mother happy with me and proud of me for doing something. She only knew me as being a wild kid and running the streets, coming home with new clothes that she knew I didn't pay for." Now, I never got a chance to talk to her or know about her, okay? Never really got to know his mother. Now, professionally, it has no effect, but it's crushing emotionally and personally, said Mike. Okay, let's look at Mike's amateur career. Amateur career for Iron Mike Tyson. Now, as an amateur, Mike won gold medals at the 1981 and 1982 Junior Olympic Games. He defeated Joe Cortez in 1981, and he beat Kelton Brown in 1982. Now, Brown's corner threw in the towel in the first round. In 1984, Tyson won the gold medal at the National Golden Gloves, which was held in New York, beating Jonathan Littles. He fought Henry Tillman twice as an amateur, losing both fights by decision. And Tillman went on to win the gold medal, heavyweight gold medal at the 1984 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles. I believe Mike lost to him in the Olympic trials, right? Okay, so let's move on to Mike's professional career now. Move on to his professional career. Take a look at his early professional career for Iron Mike. Now, Tyson made his professional debut as an 18-year-old on March 6, 1985 in Albany, New York. He defeated Hector Mercedes by a first-round TKO. Because remember, his first 19 fights out the gate was by knockout, 12 of them in the first round. Okay, and his first fight was a first-round knockout. Then he had 15 fights in his first year as a professional, 15 of them. Fighting frequently, Tyson won 26 of his first 28 fights by knockout or TKO. 19 straight out the gate, 26 of his first 28 by knockout or by stoppage, okay? And 16 of those first 28 was in the first round. 12 of the first 18, 16 of the first 28 first round knockouts, right? Now, the quality of his opponents gradually increased to journeyman fighters and borderline contenders like James Quick Tillis, David Jocko, Jesse Ferguson, Mitch Green, and Marvis Frazier. And his winning streak attracted media attention, and Tyson was billed as the next great heavyweight champion, right? Cus D'Amato died in November 1985, relatively early in Tyson's professional career. And some people speculate that his death was the catalyst to many of the troubles that Tyson was to experience as his life and career progressed. Yeah, I was one of them. If Cus had lived, things would have went totally different for Mike. But, if is a crooked word, that's what they say. So rise up the ranks. Let's look at him as he rose up the ranks, okay? Now, Tyson's first nationally televised fight took place on February 16th, 1986 at Houston Fieldhouse in Troy, New York against journeyman heavyweight Jesse Ferguson. And it was carried on ABC Sports. Now, Tyson knocked Ferguson down with an uppercut in the very first round. And that broke Ferguson's nose, right? Now, during the 6th round, Ferguson began to hold and clinch Tyson in an apparent attempt to avoid further punishment. Now, after admonishing Ferguson several times to obey his commands to box, the referee finally just stopped the fight near the middle of the 6th round because Ferguson was starting to do a little bit too much holding, okay? And the fight was initially ruled a win for Tyson by disqualification of his opponent. And the ruling was adjusted to a win by TKO after Tyson's corner protested that a disqualification win would end Tyson's string of knockout victories, and that a knockout would have been the inevitable result anyway. So they did change it to a knockout because he was on the way to knocking the guy out, and then the referee disqualified him. So his corner complained and said he had this knockout streak going, and y'all messing that up. He was going to end up knocking him out anyway, so they changed it to a knockout, right? Which it was a disqualification, so officially, but they did change it to an official knockout. So in July, after recording 6 more knockout victories, Tyson fought former world title challenger Marvis Frazier in Glens Falls, New York, on another ABC sports broadcast, right, on TV again. Tyson won easily, charging at Frazier at the opening bell and hitting him with 2 consecutive uppercuts, the second of which knocked Frazier unconscious just 30 seconds into the fight. Yeah, that was Frazier's last fight. I don't think Marvis really wanted to fight. I think he was just, his father was a fighter, and he wanted to continue that Frazier fighting legacy, so threw Marvis in there. And Larry Holmes destroyed Marvis. Larry was hitting Marvis, begging the referee to stop, and then Mike stopped him in 30 seconds, and Joe finally let him just quit. Joe said, okay, you don't have it. I know some of them fights, Joe probably wanted to jump in there, seeing his son getting beat up like that. But anyway, yeah, he got rid of Marvis in 30 seconds of the first round. Now, after his win over Marvis Frazier, Tyson was booked to fight Jose Ribalta at the Trump Plaza Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City, New Jersey. This was in 1986. Now, Ribalta would hit Tyson with body punches throughout the fight, and Tyson knocked Ribalta down 3 times in the 2nd, 8th, and 10th round. And then the referee finally called the fight off in the 10th round. And Tyson would go on to say that Ribalta was his toughest fight up to that point, commenting, I hit Jose Ribalta with everything I had, and he took everything and kept coming back for more. Jose Ribalta stood toe-to-toe with me. He was very strong in the clinches, and Ribalta was a game fighter who actually engaged me. I felt nauseous from all of Ribalta's body punches, even hours after the fight. Mike said, I never felt that much general pain again, okay, after that. So now, WBC heavyweight champion, Tyson versus Berbick. Tyson versus Berbick. There's Berbick on the mat there. Yeah, Berbick looked scared right from the, from in the middle where the referee was giving the instructions and the stare down at the beginning. Yeah, Berbick looked like he would rather be anywhere but in that ring right then with Tyson. Mrs. Just Do Boxing in the building. How are you today, Mrs. Just Do? Always good to see Mrs. Just Do in here. From that Just Do Boxing family, okay? Boxing royalty. Salute, Mrs. Just Do Boxing. We're just talking about Mike Tyson today, doing our usual Friday profile. But a big salute to Mrs. Just Do Boxing joining us today. Okay, yeah, he's getting ready to go after his first title now against Trevor Berbick. Okay, Tyson versus Berbick. Now, on November 22nd, 1986, Mike was given his first title shot against Trevor Berbick. This was for the WBC heavyweight title. Now, Tyson won the fight by TKO in the 2nd round. And at the age of 20 years old, 20 years and 4 months, I think 22 days, he became the youngest heavyweight champion in history. And that stands to this day, still the youngest heavyweight champion in history. Okay? Ray Patterson in the building. What's up, RP? Straight out of New Jersey. That Ray Patterson. Salute, RP. Mike Tyson this Friday. Okay, let's continue. He just won his first title, which was the WBC strap. Knocked Trevor Berbick out in the second round. That's Trevor Berbick. That's Trevor laying on the mat there, see? And he didn't get up, okay? So, yeah, and that made Mike the youngest heavyweight champion ever at 20 years old. That still stands to this day, right? And then he added the WBA and IBF titles after defeating James Smith and Tony Tucker in 1987. Now, Tyson's dominant performances brought many accolades. Donald Saunders wrote, "The noble and manly art of boxing can at least cease worrying about its immediate future now. It has discovered a heavyweight champion fit to stand alongside Dempsey, Tunney, Lewis, Marciano, and Ali." Yeah, that was the kind of hype Mike was getting back there in the middle 80s when he came through. Put him up there with Ali, Dempsey, Lewis. That was before all of his out of the ring activities and before Don King, right? Cus D'Amato was still around then. Oh, I'm not. No, I think Cus had passed away before his first championship, but he was still in Cus's people's hands. Don King hadn't gotten rid of all of them yet. Now, Tyson intimidated fighters with his strength combined with outstanding hand speed, accuracy, coordination, and timing, right? And he also possessed notable defensive abilities, holding his hands high in the peekaboo style taught by his mentor, Cus D'Amato. You know, Cus invented that peekaboo style. That was a trademark of all the Cus fighters, beginning with Floyd Patterson way back in the 1950s. The peekaboo. Yeah, that was Cus D'Amato's baby, right? And used the peekaboo to slip under and weave around his opponent's punches while timing his own, right? And Mike's explosive punching technique was due in large part to crouching immediately prior to throwing a hook or an uppercut. And this allowed the spring of his legs to add power to the punch, right? When they crouch, and he got more spring and power into his punches when he threw them. Now, among his signature moves was a right hook to his opponent's body, followed by a right uppercut to his opponent's chin. Lorenzo Boyd, Jesse Ferguson, and Jose Robalta were each knocked down by that same combination, right? That right hook to the body, followed by a right uppercut to the chin. Okay. Unified heavyweight champion. Tyson versus Smith and Thomas. Okay. There's him and Bone Crusher. That was when he got his next title. Okay. Now, expectations for Tyson were extremely high. He was the favorite to win the heavyweight unification series, a tournament designed to establish an undisputed heavyweight champion. And Mike did eventually win that tournament, okay? Now, he defended his title against James Bone Crusher Smith on March 7th, 1987 in Las Vegas, Nevada. And he won by unanimous decision and added Smith's WBA title to his existing belt. And Tyson mania in the media was becoming rampant. He beat Pinklon Thomas in May by TKO in the 6th round, right? That's when he became undisputed. Not yet, because Tony Tucker had the other belt. But there's him and Pinklon Thomas. Yeah, it was 3-belt undisputed back then. The WBA, WBC, and IBF. WBO was around, but the other three wasn't recognizing it as a major title yet. And he was starting to be on all kinds of publications. There's Graphico, some kind of foreign paper. He was even on the front of that. You know, Mike was known all over the world. You know, he was like a sensation. Just what the heavyweight division needed in boxing, because, you know, Ali had went out in the 80s. We had the Four Kings that came around then too, and Mike added to the Four Kings. Boxing was in real good hands in the 80s. Along with the Four Kings and Mike Tyson, yeah, boxing was booming. So his next was Tony Tucker, undisputed heavyweight champion. That's when he beat Tony Tucker. That's him and Tony Tucker. Tyson versus Tucker. Okay. August 1st, he took the IBF belt from Tony Tucker in a 12-round unanimous decision. Wide decision. The judges had it 119, 111, 118, 113, and one had it 116, 112. Mike became the first heavyweight in history to hold all three major belts at one time: WBA, WBC, and IBF. And like I said, the WBO was around, but the other three wasn't recognizing them as a major title at that time. So then, Tyrone Biggs, Larry Holmes, Tony Tubbs was the next three victims. Back then, that's what they were, victims. Mike was just running through these people like scissors cutting through a sheet of paper. There's him and Tyrone Biggs right there. Okay. Let's talk about Biggs, Holmes, and Tubbs. Now, another fight in October of that year ended with a victory for Tyson over 1984 Olympic super heavyweight gold medalist Tyrone Biggs by TKO in the 7th round. And now during this time, Tyson came to the attention of gaming company Nintendo. After witnessing one of Tyson's fights, Nintendo president Minoru Arakawa was impressed by the fighter's power and skill, prompting him to suggest Tyson be included in the upcoming Nintendo Entertainment System port of the Punch-Out arcade game, right? So in 1987, Nintendo released Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, which was well received and sold more than 1 million copies, right? It has retrospectively been considered one of the greatest games of all time. One of the greatest games of all time, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out on Nintendo. Okay. Larry Holmes. Now, Tyson had 3 fights in 1988. He faced Larry Holmes on January 22nd and defeated the legendary former champion by knockout in the 4th round, right? This was the only knockout loss Larry Holmes had in 75 professional fights. Only time Larry was ever knocked out, okay? And then was Tony Tubbs. In March of 88, Tyson fought contender Tony Tubbs in Tokyo, Japan, fitting in an easy second-round TKO victory amid promotional and marketing work right over there in Japan. Tyson versus Spinks, the 92nd fight. Big Dre in the building. What's up, Big Dre? Talking about Iron Mike Tyson today. Okay. He met Big Dre up there at the meet and greet too. Yep, salute Big Dre. Yeah, I gotta talk to you too, Big Dre, because I need some drops from you. But I'll get with you. Okay. But salute Big Dre. Tyson versus Spinks was next, right? This fight happened on June 27th, 1988. He faced Michael Spinks. And Mike Spinks had taken the heavyweight championship from Larry Holmes by a 50-round decision in 85. And I really thought Holmes won that fight, but the judges didn't, and that's what counted. So Spinks had taken the title from Holmes. But Spinks had not lost his title in the ring, right? But he was not recognized as champion by the major boxing organizations. Holmes had previously given up all but the IBF title, and that was eventually stripped from Spinks after he elected to fight Jerry Cooney, right? Rather than the IBF #1 contender, Tony Tucker, as the Cooney fight provided him a larger purse. However, Spinks did become the lineal champion by beating Holmes, and many, including Ring Magazine, consider Spinks to have a legitimate claim to being the true heavyweight champion. So the fight with Tyson at the time was the richest fight in history, and expectations were very high. Boxing pundits were predicting a titanic battle of styles, with Tyson's aggressive infighting conflicting with Spinks' skillful outboxing and footwork. But None of that happened. The fight ended after just 91 seconds when Tyson knocked Spinks out in the first round. Many consider this to be the pinnacle of Tyson's fame and boxing ability. Yeah, he just made short work of Spinks. Yeah. Spinks looked scared too before the fight even started. Crushed the legend. You didn't come on this morning, did you, Crush? I couldn't find you this morning. But Crush the legend, 6 a.m. Monday through Friday with the coffee and the donuts. I couldn't find Crush this morning. I was upset too. Crush? But hey, people have lives outside of this box. You get so used to seeing people all the time, it becomes a routine. But salute Crush, the legend, in the building. Okay. Yeah. After he beat Spinks. Now, during this time, Tyson's problems outside the ring were also beginning to emerge. His marriage to Robin Givens was heading for divorce, and his future contract was being fought over by Don King and Bill Caton. Bill Caton was one of Cus D'Amato's people, right? Came in with Cus. And him and Don King had entered the picture at that time, right? He was fighting with Cus's people. Remember, Cus had passed away by then. Don King was fighting with some of his people over Mike. In 1988, Tyson parted ways with manager Bill Caton. And this was his biggest mistake ever. He fired longtime trainer Kevin Rooney. Kevin was appointed by Cus to train him. That was the biggest mistake he ever made. And that was all orchestrated by Don King, right? And when he fired Kevin Rooney was the man many credit for honing Tyson's craft after the death of Cus D'Amato. And Rooney was working with Mike when Cus was living, remember, because Cus didn't actually do the training during the fights. Kevin Rooney did that. And when Don King orchestrated Kevin Rooney's departure, that was the beginning of the end for Mike right there. Now, following Rooney's departure, critics allege that Tyson began to show less head movement and less combination punching. And them combinations was a big part of his game, remember? That right hook to the body and the uppercut to the chin. Yeah, all of that slowed down after Kevin Rooney departed. Yeah, but Don King had taken over. After Kevin Rooney, all of Cus D'Amato's people were gone. Don King had total control over him at that point, right? So, Tyson versus Frank Bruno and Carl Williams. Let's talk about those two fights. I think these are his first fights after Kevin Rooney departed. Now, in 1989, he had only 2 fights amid personal turmoil. And Mike was fighting 5-6 times a year. So that was a sign right there. He only had 2 fights in 89. Okay, that was the first year after Rooney was gone. Slowed down on his fights and everything. He faced the British boxer, Frank Bruno, in February. Yeah, that's Frank Bruno there. Now, Bruno managed to stun Tyson at the end of the first round, although Tyson went on to knock Bruno out in the 5th round. Tyson then knocked out Carl the Truth Williams in the 1st round in July that same year. Okay, there's him and Carl the Truth Williams. Somebody say okay too much. I'm sorry. That's a habit. Okay, but that's him and Carl the Truth Williams. Next came the Buster Douglas situation. And there's Mike laying on the mat. Let me see. The Buster Douglas situation. There he is. You can see him better. We don't need that now. Yep. Okay. Let's talk about him and Buster Douglas. Ray Patterson says, Cass, I went to school with Bruce Shielding. We were in the same classroom. He fought Mike Tyson and he lost. Okay. RP went to school with the guy that fought Mike. I needed something. Yeah, let me put that up there. There we go. Y'all seen Mike. Yeah. Well, that's very interesting, RP. I don't think I included Bruce in any of the fights we covering today. But yeah, Bruce Shielding. that Mike knocked him out. RP. Okay. Let's talk about Tyson versus Douglas. Okay. Now by 1990, Mike seemed to have lost direction, and his personal life was in disarray amidst reports of less vigorous training prior to the Buster Douglas match. But now let me stop right there, because a lot of people say he lost to Buster because he wasn't in shape and all that, but no. You got to give Buster a lot of credit, because Buster was on one that night. You know, he had that jab and nice busy power jab, like Mike Rim said yesterday. And Mike had trouble getting past that jab. And when he did, Buster had that right hand weight. Buster wasn't intimidated. Buster was in good shape. But we only seen that Buster Douglas one time. That Buster Douglas would have been a problem in the heavyweight division. That Buster Douglas would have beat Evander Holyfield, likely would have stopped him. But we never saw that Buster again. So it wasn't all just Mike being out of shape and not training. You got to give Buster Douglas a lot of credit, because he did a great job that night. Plus, he was motivated. His mother had just passed away a few weeks before the fight. So, yeah, when you hear people say that Mike wasn't in shape and all, no, a lot of that was attributed to the man he fought, Buster Douglas. Look at it. We never saw that Buster Douglas again. They say between the Tyson and Holyfield fights, Buster was damn near 400 pounds. Well over 300, right? So, yeah, Buster didn't want it. He only had one of those performances in him. But, yeah, that Buster Douglas that night would have been a problem for any heavyweight throughout the 90s. I'm talking about Holyfield, Bo, Lennox Lewis, any of them. But we just never saw him again. But let's talk about this fight. Yeah, Mike's personal life was in disarray at that time, though. And a lot of people said he didn't train going into the fight. He wasn't in good shape. But in a fight happened on February 11th, 1990. It was in Japan. Mike lost his undisputed championship to Douglas in Tokyo, yeah. Tyson was a huge betting favorite, right? At 42-1 odds. Man, you could have been a millionaire. You put the right kind of money on Buster, but not too many people picked Buster to win that, right? Now, William Old Schooler Ranch said he did, right? Now, Tyson failed to find a way past Douglas's quick jab. They had a 12-inch reach advantage over Mike, right? 12-inch reach advantage. With a person with a good jab and know how to use it, that's almost impossible to beat that person, man. Now, Tyson did catch Douglas with an uppercut in the 8th round and knocked him down. But Douglas recovered sufficiently to hand Tyson a heavy beating in the subsequent 2 rounds after that. Now, Tyson's camp tried to complain that the count was slow, him and his camp and Don King. And Douglas had taken longer than 10 seconds to get back on his feet, but he didn't. I've seen it many times and counted. He was up before the 10th count, okay? Mike was just embarrassed, you know. And you know, the shyster Don King. But just 35 seconds into the 10th round, Buster unleashed a brutal uppercut, followed by a 4-punch combination of hooks that knocked Tyson down for the first time in his career. And Mike was counted out by referee Octavio Moran. And then Tyson's camp and Don King tried to say that Mike was given a fast count. They tried to say Mike didn't get 10 seconds. They tried to say Buster got over 10 seconds to get up. And they gave Mike like 7 seconds. But no, I did both of them. And it was 10 seconds. Mike was down for 10 seconds. Buster was up before 10 seconds. That was just Don King's nonsense, right? And the knockout win by Douglas over Tyson, the previously undefeated baddest man on the planet and probably the most feared boxer in professional boxing at that time, has been described as one of the most shocking upsets in modern sports history. Yeah, man, I got to work the next day and people was talking about that fight that you didn't even know watch boxing, right? You know, it was crazy. It was really a crazy time. After that, Buster Douglas shocked the world. Nobody expected him to win that fight, including me. 42-1 odds. And he not only beat Mike, he knocked him out. It wasn't a TKO, it was a knockout. down for the count. Okay. So after that, that's when everything starts spiraling out of control for Mike. Let's talk about that. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Ray says yes, he did knock Drew Shielding out. I figured that, RP. Okay, so now, despite the shocking loss, Tyson has said that losing to Douglas was the greatest moment of his career. He said, I needed that fight to make me a better person and fighter. I have a broader perspective of myself in boxing after that fight, okay? Now, after the loss to Douglas, Tyson recovered with first-round knockouts over Henry Tillman and Alex Stewart in his next two fights, right? And his win over Tillman was the 1984 Olympic heavyweight gold medalist who had beaten Tyson twice at the amateur level, remember? So that enabled him to advance his two amateur losses to Tillman. And these fights set up an elimination fight for another shot at the undisputed World Heavyweight Championship, which at that time was held by Evander Holyfield, who had taken it from Douglas in Buster Douglas's first title defense. But it was not the same Buster Douglas that fought Mike Tyson. Well, it was the same person, but it wasn't the same fighter. This was a Buster Douglas that had blown up over 300 pounds in between fights. That dad was gone. That confidence was gone. It was just a totally different person. Yeah, I saw both fights. I saw the Tyson fight. I saw the Holyfield fight, and it just wasn't the same fighter, man. And everybody was like, "What happened?" Because we were expecting Buster to come in there and just take Holyfield out of there, but it wasn't the same Buster. So now Tyson. Tyson versus Ruddock. Where are we? Because I started early because I know Floyd was kind of long and I didn't want to. We had to do two parts, but I think we're gonna make it because we way down there. If we have time, we're gonna do the highlights of boxing history after this, which is 10 of the most devastating one-punch knockouts in history. Okay, but let's continue. Tyson versus Razor Ruddock. Okay, Tyson versus Razor Ruddock. Excuse me for a minute. Oh, I thought I heard a knock. I told you Miss Cass was expecting a package. No, I didn't hear a knock. If Steve and Jaws and them get it, Miss Cass gonna be mad at me. Those are neighborhood bad boys. Big Steve and Jaws and all of them. But they come out at night. You know, I was saying some people, you don't see them unless it's nighttime. Like I said, them people looking for them. Okay, let's continue. Razor Ruddock was his next big name after the Buster loss. Now Tyson, who was the number one contender, faced number two contender, Donovan Razor Ruddock in March 18th, 1991, still before the rape and all that stuff had happened, in Las Vegas. Now, Ruddock was seen as the most dangerous heavyweight around and was thought of as one of the hardest punching heavyweights. Now, Tyson and Ruddock went back and forth for most of the fight until referee Richard Steele controversially stopped the fight during the 7th round in favor of Tyson. Okay, there goes your buddy at work. Your buddy at work again, Al Booker. Richard Steele. Richard Steele made a lot of money off cheating during his career, but he stopped the fight controversially in favor of Tyson in the 7th round, like he did for Julio Cesar Chavez against Melvin Taylor, right? And this decision infuriated the fans in attendance, sparking a post-fight melee in the audience. Had a mini riot out in the audience. And guess what? Richard Steele had to be escorted from the ring. So after that, he gave Razor Ruddock a rematch. Okay, Tyson Ruddock 2. Yeah, he gave Razor a rematch. So Tyson and Ruddock met again on June 28th later that same year. This time, Tyson knocked Ruddock down twice and won a 12-round unanimous decision, 113 and 109, 114 and 108, and 114 and 108. And they didn't have Richard Steele refereeing at that time. A fight between Tyson and Holyfield for the Undisputed Championship was scheduled for November 8th, 1991 at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. But Tyson pulled out after sustaining a rib cartilage injury during training. Okay. Now, Tyson was convicted of the rape charges on February 10th, 1992. Right, so that ruined the Holyfield fight, and he was released in 1995. We're going to talk about the rape later, okay, in detail. Now, after being paroled from prison, he only spent 3 years, right? After being paroled from prison, Tyson easily won his comeback fights against Peter McNeely and Buster Mathis Jr. Now, Tyson's first comeback fight was marketed as He's Back and grossed more than $96 million worldwide, including a United States record at the time, $63 million for pay-per-view television. The ruin of the fight was purchased by 1.52 million homes, setting both pay-per-view viewership and revenue records at that time. But you know, Oscar, Floyd, and all them shattered that, but that was later, right? Okay, so the 89-second fight elicited criticism that Tyson's management lined up tomato cans, this was against Peter McNeely, to ensure easy victories for his return. Now, they wanted Tyson to fight Foreman for his return fight because Big George had came back. Oh, Al Booker says Hall of Fame, Richard Steele. Yeah, just like Sylvester Stallone and Turkey Alley Sheik in the Hall of Fame. They might as well put me in there. Me and Sylvester Stallone and Turkey Alley Sheik all got the same record, 0-0. Yeah, they done made a mockery out of the Boxing Hall of Fame, though. They really have. Okay. So, yeah, they accused Mike of him of setting up tomato cans so his return would be successful. But they wanted him to fight George Foreman, but it never happened. And Custom Alto had told Mike, he passed away, never fight George Foreman because he said the same thing that happened to Joe Frazier was going to happen to Mike, and I think it would have been. George would have been a terrible style matchup for Mike, just like he was against Joe Frazier. Because you would have a whole lot to get past, trying to get inside and give him up a whole lot of reach advantage. And you see what Buster Douglas did to Mike? So just imagine what George Foreman would have did to him. Okay, I don't have to say any more about that. Okay, so his second reign as unified heavyweight champion, he did get his titles back. A couple of them anyway. Frank Bruno, Bruce Seldon. Okay, that's Bruno. Tyson regained one belt by easily winning the WBC title against Frank Bruno in March 1996. It was the second fight between the two. And Tyson knocked out Bruno in the first round. In 1996, Lennox Lewis turned down a $13.5 million guarantee to fight Tyson. This would have been Lewis's highest fight purse to date. Like William Old School Ranch said, Lewis waited until Holyfield and Tyson was old past the prime to fight him. And Lewis was a ducker because when he fought Vladimir Klitschko, or Vitaly, I think it was Vitaly, Lewis wasn't to fight by TKO on cuts, but he was being dominated by Vitaly with a hit on all three cards. And instead of fighting Vitaly for a rematch, guess what Lennox did? Retired. Lennox Lewis was a duck, okay? The proof is right there. You know? I mean, you fight a man and the fight gets stopped on cuts and you win, but you've been dominated and behind on all three cards. Wouldn't you want to prove yourself against that man to give him a rematch? Lennox retired instead of fighting Klitschko again because he knew what had happened. He knew what was up. But yeah, Tyson versus Bruno. Yeah, Lewis turned down his highest purse, $13.5 million guaranteed to fight Tyson, which would have been his highest fight purse. Lewis then accepted $4 million to step aside and allow Tyson to fight Bruce Seldon for an expected $30 million instead, with the intention that if Tyson defeated Seldon, he would fight Lewis next, okay? And there's Tyson and Bruce Seldon. Tyson defeated Seldon in the first round in September of that year. Seldon was severely criticized and mocked in the popular press for seemingly collapsing to innocuous punches from Tyson. And when Tyson fought Seldon in Vegas, that was the night Tupac was killed. Tupac was actually at the fight, then was killed later that night, okay? So now finally we get Tyson in Holyfield. Remember the first time Tyson got injured, we didn't get it. And then when they rescheduled it again, that's when the rape charges came up, right? And we didn't get it. Yeah, Tim says he was pissed when they stopped Tyson versus Klitschko. Yeah. Klitschko was giving him a boxing lesson, wasn't he, Tim? He was giving him a lesson. So naturally, Lewis should have wanted the rematch to prove himself. But no, Lewis retired. I ain't fighting him no more. It's almost like admitting you can't beat him. That's what it says to me, right? But finally we get Tyson and Holyfield. This is the third attempt, but we finally got it. Now, Tyson attempted to defend the WBA title against Evander Holyfield, who was in the fourth fight of his own comeback. Now, Holyfield had retired in 1994 following the loss of his championship to Michael Moorer. It was said that Don King and others saw former champion Holyfield, who was 34 at the time of the fight, and a huge underdog, as a washed-up fighter. Then on November 9th, 1996, in Las Vegas, Nevada, Tyson faced Holyfield in a title fight, dubbed Finally. That was the name of the fight, Finally, right? Because it took they had this is like the fourth time it was scheduled. They finally got in the third or fourth time. So they called it Finally. Now, in a surprising turn of events, Holyfield, who was given virtually no chance to win this fight, defeated Tyson by TKO when referee Mitch Halpern stopped the fight in round 11, and Holyfield dominated him throughout the fight. Holyfield became the second boxer to win a heavyweight championship belt 3 times after Muhammad Ali, right? Holyfield's victory was marred by allegations from Tyson's camp by Holyfield's frequent headbutts during the fight. Now, although the headbutts were ruled accidental by the referee, they would become a point of contention in the rematch. Did they? Did they become a point of contention? So they did have the rematch, okay? Tyson versus Holyfield 2, okay? Tyson versus Holyfield 2. And Al Booger has become a member of Cast and Friends, right? We got Cast and Friends, we got the Put It in the Chat Club, and we got the Boxtorian Society, okay? All are welcome to join. Al Booger. I had a member before, Mr. Hot Grease, but then I had became demonetized. And, you lose all your groups and everything. Then when I got remonetized, I haven't seen Mr. Hot Grease since, okay? Mr. Hot Grease from Louisiana. I think that's his name. Something Hot Grease. Yeah, but Al Booger is my first member since I've been remonetized. Appreciate you, Al Booger. 1,000,000%. Okay, Tyson versus Holyfield 2. Now, Tyson and Holyfield fought again. This was on June 28th, 1997. Now, originally, Mitch Halpern was supposed to be the referee. Again, this is the guy that let all those headbutts go by the first time, right? But Tyson's camp protested, we don't want him. So Halpern stepped aside in favor of Mills Lane, a veteran referee. One of the best referees of all time, Mills Lane. He was way back. I think he did one of the Ali Frazier's fights. Might have been the Thriller in Manila. I know he did one of them. Now, the highly anticipated rematch was dubbed The Sound and the Fury, right? And it was held at the Las Vegas MGM Grand Garden Arena, site of the first fight. It was a lucrative event, drawing even more attention than the first fight and grossing $100 million. Tyson made $30 million and Holyfield made $35 million. The highest paid professional fighting purse to that date until 2007. You know who that was? That was Floyd and Oscar, 2007. This was the highest in history up to Floyd and Oscar. Now, the fight was purchased by 1.99 million households, setting a pay-per-view buy rate record. Stood also until May 2007, being surpassed by Oscar De La Hoya versus Floyd Mayweather Jr. Told you. Okay. Now, soon to become one of the most controversial events in modern sports, not just boxing, modern sports. The fight was stopped at the end of the third round, with Tyson being disqualified for biting Holyfield on both ears, right? Bit him on both of them. Okay. And the first time Tyson bit him, the fight was temporarily stopped, and referee Mills Lane deducted 2 points from Mike, and the fight continued. The first time, they started it over again. Al Booker says, them headbutts were ridiculous. I can understand Tyson's frustration. Me too, Al Booker, because, that's why Holyfield and them tried to get the same referee, Mitch Halpern, but Tyson and them complained that Halpern stepped aside. That's how Mills Lane got it. Tyson said, no way we're going to let that guy referee the fight again. He never even deducted any points from Holyfield. He called them all accidental. You got 50 accidental headbutts? Come on, man. It wasn't 50, but it was a lot of them. But I agree with Al Booker. They were ridiculous. Yeah, they frustrated me. Mm-hmm. And the referee didn't do anything about it. So Tyson said, this next fight, I'm going to do something about it myself. And he did. See? He bit him, not once, but twice. So after the first bite, the referee Mills Lane deducted 2 points from Tyson, but he let the fight continue, right? However, after the fight resumed, Tyson bit Holyfield again. This time, the referee said, that's it. He disqualified Tyson, giving Holyfield his second consecutive win over Tyson, but this time by disqualification. Now, the first bite was severe enough to remove a piece of Holyfield's right ear, which was found on the ring floor after the fight. Now, you would think after the first bite, he bit off part. I thought it happened after the second one, but no, he bit off part of it after the first one. You would think the fight would have been stopped then. But after he bit off part of his ear, they continued. I always thought that the part got bit off after the second bite. It was the first time. And they found it after the fight. I thought they found it before they resumed, but they didn't find part of Holyfield's ear until after the fight. Wow, that's crazy. Now, Tyson later stated that his actions were retaliation for Holyfield's repeated headbutting him without penalty. Yeah, because Holyfield picked right up with the headbutting again in the second fight. Because he got away with it in the first fight, and he was getting away with it in the second fight. So Mike took matters into his own hands. In the confusion that followed the ending of the fight and announcement of the decision, a near riot occurred in the arena, and several people were injured. Tyson Holyfield 2 was the first heavyweight title fight in over 50 years to end in a disqualification. I can't even remember the other one. I had to check into that. There's a fallout from the incident. $3 million was immediately withheld from Tyson's $30 million purse by the Nevada State Boxing Commission, right? And 2 days after the fight, Tyson issued a statement apologizing to Holyfield for his actions and asked not to be banned for life over the incident. Now, Tyson was routinely condemned in the news media, but was not without defenders. Novelist and commentator Catherine Dunn wrote a column that criticized Holyfield's sportsmanship in the controversial fight and charged the news media, with being biased against Tyson. Yeah, like Al Booker said, there was a lot of headbutting going on, man, in that fight. So, I kind of can sympathize with Tyson, man. And nothing was done. No points was taken. I think he did get a warning or something, but no points was taken. So Mike said, and he picked up in the second fight right where he left off with the headbutts from the first fight. So Mike just took matters into his own hands. Okay. Okay. So I don't know. Excuse me for a minute. Yeah. On July 9th, 1997, Tyson's boxing license was rescinded by the Nevada State Athletic Commission in a unanimous voice vote. He was also fined $3 million and ordered to pay the legal costs of the hearing. As most state athletic commissions honor sanctions imposed by other states, this effectively made Tyson unable to box in the United States, right? Because the other states honored Nevada's decision, right? And so the revocation was not permanent, as the commission voted 4-1 to restore Tyson's boxing license on October 18th, 1998. So it was out a little over a year. Now, during his time away from boxing, in 1998, Tyson made a guest appearance at WrestleMania 14 as an enforcer for the main event match between Shawn Michaels and Steve Austin. Okay, we're going to go on past this WrestleMania because we got some more fights to cover. Ooh, that's a lot. Okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah, we got some legal problems in there we got to cover too. Okay. Tyson's in January 1999, Tyson returned to the ring for a fight against the South African Francois Botha. This fight also ended in controversy. While Botha initially controlled the fight, Tyson allegedly attempted to break Botha's arms during a tie-up, and both boxers were cautioned by the referee in the ill-tempered fight. Now, Botha was ahead on points on all scorecards and was confident enough to mock Tyson as the fight continued. Now, nonetheless, Tyson landed a straight right hand in the fifth round that knocked Botha out. Critics noticed Tyson stopped using the barb and weave defense altogether following this return. He had stopped the barb and weave altogether. Mm-hmm. Yes, he did. That was a mistake because that was part of his bread and butter that helped him get up inside. You know, Tyson always gave up the height and reach advantage, and that barb and weave was instrumental on him getting it where he needed to be to unleash those hooks and uppercuts. So after he came back, they said he just abandoned that altogether. Now, promoting the fight on Secaucus, New Jersey television station WWOR-TV, Tyson launched into an expletive-laden tirade that forced sports anchor Russ Salzberg to cut the interview short. Now, legal problems arose with Tyson once again on February 5th, 1999. Tyson was sentenced to a year's imprisonment, fined $5,000, and ordered to serve 2 years probation, along with undergoing 200 hours of community service for assaulting two motorists after a traffic accident on August 31st, 1998. Now, he served 9 months of that sentence. After his release, he fought Orlin Norris on October 23rd, 1999. Tyson knocked Norris down with a left hook thrown after the bell sounded to end the first round, right? Now, Norris injured his knee when he went down and said he was unable to continue after getting hit after the bell. Consequently, the fight was ruled a no contest because it was only one round, right? So it was ruled a no contest. Okay. Let me see something. Evander Holyfield. Okay, yeah. We haven't got the Lennox Lewis yet. But it was ruled a no contest. He hit the guy after the bell, right? And the guy couldn't continue. Okay. In 2000, Tyson had 3 fights. The first was in January. It was staged at the MEN Arena in Manchester, England against Julius Francis. Now, following controversy as to whether Tyson was allowed into the country, he took 4 minutes to knock out Francis, ending the fight in the second round. He also fought Lou Savarese in June 2000 in Glasgow, winning in the first round. The fight lasted only 38 seconds, right? And Tyson continued punching after the referee had stopped the fight, knocking the referee to the floor as he tried to separate the fighters. It was after this fight that Tyson called out Lennox Lewis with his post-fight speech proclaiming that he was the best ever, and he was Sonny Liston and Jack Dempsey all wrapped up in one. In October, Tyson fought the similarly controversial Andrew Galata, the low blow guy. That's the guy that hit really low blow in both fights, winning in round 3 after Galata was unable to continue due to a broken cheekbone, concussion, and neck injury. The result was later changed to a no contest after Tyson refused to take a pre-fight drug test and then tested positive for marijuana in a post-fight urine test. Now, Tyson fought only once in 2001, beating Brian Nielsen in Copenhagen by TKO in the 7th round. Now we get to Tyson versus Lennox. Yeah, Lennox has seen Tyson have all these problems and got a little older, so now he's ready to fight him. Until Lennox Lewis was a duck, man. Overhyped duck. Okay? That's what he was. Tyson versus Lewis. Tyson once again had the opportunity to fight for a heavyweight championship in 2002. Lennox Lewis held the WBC, IBF, IBO, and lineal titles at the time. It was still 3-belt undisputed because they didn't start recognizing, the other 3 didn't start recognizing WBO till about 2005. Remember, B-Hop became the first 4-belt. I believe it was 2005, right? So Lennox was undisputed, 3-belt at the time he fought Mike, right? Now, as promising fighters, Tyson and Lewis had sparred at a training camp in a meeting arranged by Castelmato in 1984. Tyson sought to fight Lewis in Nevada for a more lucrative box office venue, but the Nevada Boxing Commission refused him a license to box as he was facing possible sexual assault charges at the time, okay? So 2 years prior to this fight, Tyson had made several inflammatory remarks to Lewis in an interview following the Savarese fight. The remarks included the statement, "I want your heart. I want to eat your children." On January 22nd, 2002, the 2 fighters and their entourages were involved in a brawl at a New York press conference to publicize the planned fight. A few weeks later, the Nevada State Athletic Commission refused to grant Tyson a license for the fight, and the promoters had to make alternative arrangements. Yeah, that was after that. That was when they tried to, when Nevada refused him because he already had sexual assault charges pending. Then they had the brawl. He had the bite fight. So Nevada said, "No, we ain't fooling with you anymore, Mike Tyson. You bad news." You can't really blame him, right? Because all the nonsense Mike had going on. Now, after multiple states refused to grant Tyson a license, the fight eventually occurred on June 8th at the Pyramid Arena in Memphis, Tennessee. Okay, so Tennessee finally allowed them. Tennessee wasn't usually used to making money on fights, so I guess they said, jumped at the opportunity. Now, Lewis dominated the fight and knocked out Tyson with a right hand in the 8th round. Tyson was respectful after the fight and praised Lewis on his victory. This fight was the highest grossing event in pay-per-view history at that time, generating $106.9 million from 1.95 million buys in the U.S., okay? In another Memphis fight on February 22nd, 2000, so I guess he figured Memphis would let him fight there, so he went back down there in his next one. Tyson beat fringe contender Clifford Etienne 49 seconds into the first round. Now, the pre-fight was marred by rumors of Tyson's lack of fitness. Some said that he took time out from training to party in Las Vegas and get a new facial tattoo. I didn't hit something, excuse me. Yeah, come on, man, go down. Yeah, Some said that he took time off from training to party at Las Vegas and get a new facial tattoo. This eventually proved to be Tyson's final professional win in the boxing ring, that fight in Memphis. Okay, he had some more fights, but that was his last fight he ever won. Wow. Okay. He had one more fight, then he had those couple of exhibitions against Roy Jones and Jake Paul. Now in August 2003, after years of financial struggles, Tyson finally filed for bankruptcy. He earned over $30 million for several of his fights and $300 million during his career. At the time, the media reported that he was approximately $23 million in debt. I'm glad I started it early before 2:30 today. We wouldn't have made it, but we're going to make it now. On August 13th, 2003, Tyson entered the ring for a face-to-face confrontation against a fighter, Bob Sapp. Immediately after Sapp was against Kimo Leopoldo in Las Vegas. K1 signed Tyson to a contract with the hopes of making a fight happen between the two, but Tyson's felony history made it impossible for him to obtain a visa to enter Japan, where the fight would have been most profitable. Alternative locations were discussed, but the fight ultimately did not take place. On July 30th, 2004, Tyson had a fight against British boxer. Oh, man. What? Excuse me for a minute. I know that's Miss Cass calling me. She know I'm live. Damn, man. Come on, baby. I'm doing the show, baby. Hello. Okay, let me look. Hold on. Hello. Okay, I got the door. Okay. Be back. Okay. I'm back. I'm sorry. Yeah. That was Miss Cass. She said her phone said the package delivered. Ain't nothing out there. Big Steve then must have got her. I'm back though. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. Now where were we? I'm trying to get finished because it's 3:35. Yeah, he had a match against Danny Williams in 2004, right? Another comeback fight, and this time it was in Louisville, Kentucky, because Vegas ain't fooling with him anymore, right? Tyson dominated the opening 2 rounds. The third round was even, with Williams getting in some clean shots all night, and also a few illegal ones, for which he was penalized. Now, in the fourth round, Williams took control of the fight, landing a succession of accurate and powerful punches, that knocked Mike down, and he failed to beat the count and was thus defeated by knockout. After the fight, Tyson's manager claimed that Tyson had torn a ligament in his knee in the first round. This was Tyson's 5th career defeat. He underwent surgery for the ligament 4 days after the fight, and his manager, Shelley Finkel, claimed that Tyson was unable to throw significant right-hand punches since he had a knee injury. Okay, so now was retirement. Okay, his last fight was Kevin McBride. Of course, he fought Roy Jones and Jake Paul, but that was nonsense, especially Jake Paul. But anybody, I ain't even gonna talk about Jake Paul. That was ridiculous. Shameful. We're not even gonna cover that. Tyson versus McBride. On June 11th, 2005, Tyson quit before the start of the 7th round in a close fight against journeyman Kevin McBride. It was time for Mike to get out then. In the 2008 documentary, Tyson, he stated that he fought McBride for a payday, that he did not anticipate winning. He was in poor physical condition, and he fed up with taking boxing seriously. At least he was honest. He fought for the money. At least he was honest. He should have said that about Jake Paul, because that was definitely for the money. After losing 3 of his last 4 fights, Tyson said he would quit boxing because he felt he had lost his passion for the sport, right? In 2000, Tyson dismissed everyone who was working for him and enlisted new accountants who prepared a statement showing he started the year $3.3 million in debt, but he earned $65.7 million that year. In August of 2007, Tyson pleaded guilty to drug possession and driving under the influence in an Arizona court, which stemmed from an arrest in December, where authorities said Tyson, who has a long history of legal contentions, admitted to using cocaine that day and to being addicted to the drug. In his 2013 autobiography, Undisputed Truth, Tyson admitted to using the urine of his then wife, Monica Turner, to pass drug tests. Right? He was married to Turner from 1997 to 2003. He also used his infant's urine for the same purpose. Mike was ridiculous, man. Excuse me. Used his infant's urine. Then he had a couple of exhibition fights, remember? Mike Tyson's World Tour. Okay. That's crazy, man. He used his infant's urine. Wow. Mike Tyson's World Tour. Okay. Headed for the runway now. Okay. I'm going to head y'all to the terminal in about 10 minutes. All right. To help pay off his debts, Tyson announced he would be doing a series of exhibition fights. He called it Tyson's World Tour. Now, for his first fight, Tyson returned to the ring in 2006 for a 4-round exhibition against journeyman heavyweight Corey Sanders. This fight was in Youngstown, Ohio. Yeah, Vegas still ain't fooled. They never fooled with Mike Tyson again. But, did he fight Roy Jones there? I don't know. Maybe because it was Roy Jones, Vegas might have dealt with it, but we'll see. Now, Tyson, without headgear, at 5'10" and 216 pounds, was in quality shape. Yeah, that 216 was right around his ideal fighting shape during his career. So, wow, that wasn't bad. Coming at 216. He was in quality shape. Wasn't it, Al Booger, 216? That's right around Mike's tip-top shape during the peak of his career, right? But far from his prime against Sanders. Sanders was 6'6", and Sanders wore headgear. Mike didn't. Now, Tyson appeared to be holding back in the exhibition to prevent an early end to the show, right? He said, if I don't get out of this financial quagmire, there's a possibility I may have to be a punching bag for somebody. Now, the money I make isn't going to my bills from a tremendous standpoint, but I'm going to feel depressed explained Tyson about the reasons for his comeback. Now, after the fight, he was poorly received by fans, and the remainder of the tour was canceled. Okay, Tyson versus Jones. Here we go. I wanted to touch on this one, but not Jake Paul. We'll get to Jake Paul. Thomas Hill in the building. What's up, Thomas Hill? How are you? Yeah, we got another long one today, Mike Tyson, but when we get ready, we're going to get through this one because I started early, but salute Thomas Hill. Okay, Roy Jones fight. Okay, that's Lennox Lewis. Oh, there we go. I don't know who that is. Oh, okay, yeah, that's Roy Jones. And Mike, right there, yeah, okay. Tyson versus Jones. Now, it was announced in July of 2020 that Tyson had signed a contract to face former 40 Division World Champion Roy Jones Jr. in an 8-round exhibition fight. Now, mixed martial arts coach Rafael Cordero was selected to be Tyson's trainer and cornerman for this fight. Now, the fight officially sanctioned by the California State Athletic Commission, yeah, Vegas still wasn't fooling with him, was initially scheduled to take place on September 12th at the Dignity Health Sports Park. Let me slow down. In Carson, California. However, the date was pushed back to November 28th in order to maximize revenue for the fight. Now, the fight went to full 8 rounds and was declared a draw. The fight was a split draw, and the 3 judges scored the fight as follows. Chad Dawson, a fighter. They had 3 fighters scoring, that's right. Chad Dawson had a 76-76. Christy Martin, the coal miner's daughter, had a 79-73 for Tyson. And Vinny Pazienza had an 80-76 for Roy Jones, a split draw. And then I told you we ain't fooling with this one. Jake Paul, no, I'm not talking about that nonsense. Oh, come on, man. What just happened? Bear with me for a minute. I'm rushing. Retirement, that's where we at. Yeah. The next thing was Tyson versus Paul, but I'm going on past that. Now, who cares? But that was phony. Phony as all outside, outdoors. Tyson and Jake Paul. I was saying for Mike to go in there and go for that setup nonsense, man. Now he had a Legends Only leg, okay? Let's look at his legacy. No. Let's talk about the trial. The rape thing. I promised that one. Let's talk about the rape thing, yeah, before we get out of here, okay? Trial and incarceration. Tyson was arrested in July 1991 for the rape of 18-year-old Desiree Washington at the Canterbury Hotel in Indianapolis. Now, the woman in your room 2 o'clock in the morning, man, how is that rape? I mean, what's she up there for? Watch Johnny Carson? Come on, man. Your Mike was railroaded on that one. She went to his room 2 o'clock in the morning, man. Then gonna holler rape. Come on, man. But anyway, Washington, who had previously been crowned Miss Black Rhode Island, was a contestant in the Miss Black America pageant rehearsals, for which were being held in the city, Indianapolis, right? Tyson was charged with 1 count of rape, 2 counts of criminal deviant conduct, and 1 count of criminal confinement. Charges incurred a maximum sentence of 63 years, but he only got 6. Tyson's rape trial at the Marion County Superior Court lasted from January 26th to February 10th, 1992. Now, Washington herself testified that Tyson had called her around 1:45 a.m. to tour the city. They picked her up in his limo, took her back to his room, and made small talk as they both sat on the bed. Why'd you go up there? Anybody putting a gun to your head till you come to that man's room 2 o'clock in the morning and sit on the bed? After propositioning her for sex, Washington stated that she firmly refused and went to use the bathroom before leaving. After using the bathroom, she said she noticed some discharge on her panty shield. Washington said she removed the liner and threw it away. When she came out, Tyson then pulled her to the bed, pinned her down, and raped her. She testified. He was mean and evil, she said. I got on top and started to try to get away, but he slammed me down again. 3 days after the assault, Washington went to the police and accused Tyson of rape. 3 days later, she talked it over with her lawyer and everything, had to proceed. Why you didn't go that night when you left the room? 3 days later, her lawyer advised her on how to proceed, see? Mm-hmm. Now, partial corroboration of Washington's story came by testimony from Tyson's chauffeur, Virginia Foster, who confirmed Desiree Washington's state of shock. She probably got an envelope too, the chauffeur. After the incident, the chauffeur Foster also testified that Tyson had previously attempted to sexually assault her too, having lured her to the hotel room, tried to touch her, and then exposed himself. But you still driving him around. Get out of here. Further testimony came from the emergency room physician, Dr. Thomas Richardson, who examined Washington after the incident and confirmed that Washington's physical condition was consistent with rape. Richardson testified that Washington had suffered 2 small vaginal abrasions, consistent with 20 to 30% of the injuries seen in sexual assault cases. Oh, he just hit it hard, man. It wasn't no rape. And that in approximately 20,000 cases over a period of 20 years, only twice had he ever seen such abrasions following consensual sex. It was Mike Tyson. Everybody was trying to get paid. Why he only get 3 years for rape, right? Should have got at least 15. Everybody was paid off. They gave him 3 years and make it look 6 years and make it look good, right? Right? Out of a potential 63 years, he got 6. Yeah, he was railroaded, right? You know it. That's right, Tim. What was she going to the run for? 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, Tim, have coffee and watch Johnny Carson. That was crazy. Now, in the lead defense lawyer, Vincent J. Fuller's direct examination, Tyson claimed that everything had taken place with Washington's full consent, and he claimed not to have forced herself upon her. When it was cross-examined by lead prosecutor Gregory Garrison, Tyson denied claims that he had misled Washington and insisted that she wanted to have sex with him. She was in his room 2 o'clock in the morning. But you go into a room, like Tim said, going up there for a cup of coffee? Come on, man. In a misguided attempt to show that Washington must have known that Tyson wanted sex, the defense called witness after witness to testify about their client's lewd remarks and crude behavior during his encounters with the Miss Black America contestants, and even with Washington herself. Former attorney Mark Shaw argued that Tyson's case was mishandled, citing a jury selection process that allowed a conservative ex-Marine to become foreman, a defense strategy of making Tyson look as bad as possible, and a disastrous decision to allow the defendant to testify at the grand jury hearing, the trial, and his sentencing. Yeah, that whole thing was just ridiculous, man. He was railroaded. Everybody got paid, the chauffeur, everybody. He only did 3 years for rape. Come on, man. I'd have seen people doing 15, 20 years for rape. Everybody got paid. It was just a railroad situation. And Fuller had also successfully defended Tyson's manager, Don King, against federal tax evasion charges in 1985, which may have been one of the reasons King chose him to represent Tyson. Tyson himself would later describe Fuller as a horrible lawyer. According to Shaw, Fuller never challenged obvious problems in Washington's story. Exactly why did she remove the panty shield? How did Tyson perform oral sex on her and still keep her pinned to the bed? If Tyson is one of the strongest men in the world, where was the bruises on the 108-pound woman? Huh? Tyson was convicted of the charge on February 10th, 1992, after the jury deliberated for nearly 19 hours. She weighed 108 pounds, but somehow she managed to get from under 215-pound Mike Tyson and get on top. How'd she do that? The man outweighed you by over 100-something pounds. But his lawyer didn't ask her none of that stuff at the trial. He was probably paid off too. Yep. But let's look at his personal life right quick. Okay? Personal life for Iron Mike Tyson. Marriages and children. Now he currently, I said New York, but currently resides in Seven Hills, Nevada. He has been married 3 times. He has 7 children, 1 deceased, with 3 women. In addition to his biological children, Tyson includes his second wife's oldest daughter as one of his own. Tyson married actress Robin Givens on February 7th, 1988 at Holy Angels Catholic Church during a traditional ceremony in Chicago. Givens was known at the time for a role on the sitcom Head of the Class. Tyson's marriage to Givens was especially tumultuous, with allegations of violence, spousal abuse, and mental instability on Tyson's part. Matters came to a head when Tyson and Givens gave a joint interview with Barbara Walters on the ABC TV News magazine show 2020 in September 1988, in which Givens described life with Tyson as torture, pure hell, worse than anything I could possibly imagine. Yeah, that was terrible, man. Yeah, they blindsided Mike on that, man. Givens also described Tyson as manic depressive, which was later confirmed by doctors. Wow. And this was on national television, while Tyson looked on with an intent and calm expression. A month later, Givens announced that she was seeking a divorce from the alleged abusive Tyson, right? And they officially separated on February 14th, 1989. Wow. Officially separated on Valentine's Day. Wow. That's crazy. And there you have it, the life and career of Iron Mike Tyson. Hope y'all enjoyed that. Okay. Iron Mike Tyson. It's Friday. I'll be back Monday with another Cast Sports. Okay, we got some activity in the chat. Yeah, Tim, he didn't have the right lawyer at all. Let me see what's going on. Yeah, it was a setup. Al Booker says, yeah, she set him up. He was still a dumbass and a R-wordist. Just a bad situation. Shake my head. Yeah. What she said no or whatever. Well, she probably gave it to him. And right, Mike, in a nightgown. And didn't holler at rape. He didn't have the right lawyer either. He sure didn't, Tim. Al Booker says, didn't Robin Givens also say that he R-worded her too? Yeah, if I remember correctly. Yes, she did, Al Booker. She said that on that Barbara Walters that night. And Mike Wim says he might as well have got life because it stays on your record for life with all the worst looks besides murder. Yeah, it is, right? Yeah. Yep. Stays there for life. That rape follows you, man. Yeah. I was trying to check out, we still got a couple minutes. Just Do Boxing coming up next. in these JBT streets. Yeah, that was terrible though, man. What they did to that man. But they say when he got out of prison, guess who was waiting at the gate for him? Don King himself. Let's go make this money. But that was his downfall when Don King got rid of all of Cus D'Amato's people and took over his I don't know if we're getting to Just Do Boxing today. I don't see a thumbnail for him or anything. But yeah, when Don King took over everything, yeah. Cus had lived, Mike would have had a whole entirely different life. But like I said, if is a crooked word. Appreciate you, Tim Layton. And yeah, we have got another big week of boxing history coming up next week. Okay. Appreciate everybody that rocked with me this week. Let's see. We're gonna have that fire highlights of boxing history Monday. It was the most devastating one-punch knockouts in boxing history. Okay, we got Thomas Hill, Crush the Legend, Big Dre, Ray Patterson, Mrs. Just Do, BN Boxing News, Mike Tyson. That's Mike Rim. Damn, hey, I wrote Mike Tyson. I was doing Mike Tyson, right? He might have been listening, who knows? Mike Rim. We had Anti-Trump AF. You know what AF stands for? Al Booger, Mike Mazik, Tim Layton, and Miss Cass. She out there somewhere. She might have been listening. Thomas Hill said people had put together Don King, Robin Gibbons, Mom. Yeah, Nas herself. Yeah, he had some bad people around him. Cus didn't allow that type of nonsense, right? But when Cus left, first he fired the manager Cus had put in place. Then when Kevin Rooney was the biggest mistake, the trainer. Because Kevin Rooney was the trainer that Cus assigned to him, right? And Kevin Rooney was the best thing for him. He knew Tyson, as far as a boxer, better than anybody, man. And when Don King got rid of him, that was the beginning of the end right there. That was like 1988. Michael Spink's fight was the last fight Kevin Rooney trained him for. And when Kevin left, that was it. It was over for Mike after that. Okay. Let's, before we go, yeah, y'all didn't know, got to say hello to my studio audience. Only thing with my studio audience, none of them hit the like button, man. All righty. I don't think we have a Just Do Boxing today, but I gotta go. It was very enjoyable. I appreciate everybody that came by today. And Tim says, I think Don had him put away to take his money. Yeah, he sued Don too. I forgot for how much. Talked about that when we did the Don King profile. But who didn't sue Don King? Yeah. Don King got sued by a lot of people, man. Deservedly so. Because he's still out there too. Don King and the Bobfather, 93 years young. Same age. Don King birthday in August, Bobfather in December. Two of the most significant figures in boxing history. Don King and the Bobfather. But I appreciate everybody for stopping by today. We'll be back Monday with another big week of boxing history. Because if it's Monday through Friday at 2 p.m., it's the Boxtorian bringing you all of that boxing history. I don't think we have a Just Do Boxing today. This is Cass Sports. Appreciate y'all 1,000,000%. Everybody have a great weekend. Got the Towering Inferno tomorrow. Sky Nicholson and the other young lady got 2 championship fights. So everybody have a great weekend. I will see y'all Monday.